Hi there, it's Anthony, and it's time for another Dexter reaction. So this is the 10th episode of the first season. It's called Seeing Red, and we're coming off of a lot of more craziness, as always. Last episode, the ice truck killer, which has now been revealed to be Deb's boyfriend, got Dexter and Deb and all of them up at that house for Dexter's biological dad, who the ice truck killer has seemingly killed for some reason. We don't know why yet, but obviously he wants Dexter to find out more about his past. And I don't even know why the ice truck killer knows about Dexter's past, but we're going to find out eventually, I'm sure. Till then, I'm just excited to see what's going to happen next. In terms of my prediction for this episode, Seeing Red, I don't know what that could mean. I mean, Dexter does forensics and stuff with the blood splatter. Blood is red. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know what Seeing Red could be talking about. So I guess I'll find out. Not too much else to say. I really like this show, so I just want to go ahead and get into it. Let's see what's going to happen in Season 1, Episode 10 of Dexter, Seeing Red.
On every door, reinforced strike plates.
Ooh, yeah, they
keyways.
locking up. They keeping Paul out of there.
Why don't you kids go wait in my car? I want to talk to your mom for a second.
Is she eating dirt?
Hey, you want
Oh
some?
wait.
It's Kirk Fly.
Oh, okay. It's cake.
Put it down.
Jesus, is that blood?
Seeing Red, blood. Maybe I was right.
Ass en route.
You're the blood expert. What is this shit?
Why is Doak so aggressive with everything that he does and says?
Maybe you should open it.
Dude, that didn't even feel like the end of the episode. Like, that episode went by. That was a good episode. It went by so fast. Jeez. Well, I guess we now know the reason why Dexter is the way that he is. And apparently he didn't even know, because he had repressed these memories and just somehow forgotten about this moment in his childhood, I guess. But it makes perfect sense that this would lead to him then going on to becoming a serial killer. I love how we're simultaneously seeing this story through Dexter's eyes and within his mind, while also having an omniscient viewpoint, in that we know more than Dexter. We know who the ice truck killer is now. So the mystery for us isn't so much as who is the ice truck killer, but more so like, why is he doing all this? Where it's allowing us to focus more on Dexter as a character and why he is the way that he is. And it seems like there's still so much to uncover that we are learning simultaneously with Dexter. This repressed memories angle is sort of an interesting device. It's kind of a cool way to not only introduce something to us as the audience from Dexter's backstory, but even introduce it to Dexter. Usually if we're learning something about a character, such as their backstory, like say like Don Draper in Mad Men, we find out stuff about him as we go that he already knows, but we as the audience are learning. In this case with Dexter, we're learning about Dexter's background and his backstory that he doesn't even know. And that's been really cool, and it feels like that's been kind of a recurring theme over some of the last few episodes. But the question is really, how does the ice truck killer fit into all this? How does he know all of this? Because it's becoming more and more apparent that he knows a lot about Dexter and a lot about his backstory. That's still kind of the biggest missing piece in this puzzle. Even though we know who the ice truck killer is, and we're starting to understand Dexter's background more, it's still like, what is his connection? Like, why is he doing this? Why does the ice truck killer care so much about Dexter that he's doing all this stuff specifically just for Dexter? Is this like a mutual admiration thing? Do they both like each other? Do they both like look at each other as idols or something? Like, it's just so crazy. How does the ice truck killer even know? So obviously this whole entire storyline with Dexter and the ice truck killer is super interesting, super intriguing, but there's a lot more going on the show as well. One thing I really like about this show, I feel like they're finding good ways to use all the characters. I probably said this before, but every episode I'm just really impressed with how we're managing to kind of get in the shoes of all the different characters and have all these different, storylines going on for them without it feeling too convoluted. And they always find a way to somehow kind of make it tie into what's going on, whether it be thematically or just story-wise. Like with Angel's thing this episode, I was kind of starting to think, I'm like, it's starting to feel like, Angel definitely he's interesting in that he just kind of has his own storylines going on sometimes, it seems. Like this episode, he had the whole thing where he was sad about his wife or whatnot. He was in the club, and I was kind of thinking, okay, this is interesting. You know, they're giving us more of Angel. We've been getting Angel, and now we're getting more of Angel, I guess. But I was kind of wondering, so like, how does this fit into anything, though? You know, like it almost felt too periphery for this episode. But then all of a sudden, he sees the lady with the fingernails, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it all makes sense now. It's like, it's just cool the way. I mean, even though it's kind of a very happenstance kind of, you know, coincidental, convenient thing, it still worked really well. I still like how they tied that in. Oh yeah, we never saw what happened with Angel, huh? I hope that he's okay. I mean, I think he's going to be okay. So I wonder if that's the last we're going to see of Paul for a while, or if he's just going to somehow make a comeback pretty quickly. I mean, we're on episode 10, so that's, you know, I think there's like 13, so 11, 12, 13. 3 episodes left in the season. Maybe that's it for Paul this season. Maybe they're trying to move him out of the way to kind of, you know, make space for everything else that needs to happen to close out the season. I'm not sure, but I do like that as closure for the Paul situation right now, at least, because I've joked about Dexter killing Paul, but I never thought he should actually kill him, and so I think it's good that he found an alternative. Even though I also I'm not a big fan of drugging people either, especially with heroin, and accusing them of going back on drugs when they didn't. But you know, I guess you got to do what you got to do sometimes. But I won't be surprised if Paul is back at some point and causing even more trouble. I mean, this is definitely something that is going to warrant him coming back and being very upset about. So I guess we'll deal with that issue when we get there. Angel, Deb, Rita, LaGuerta, they all got their own issues to deal with this episode, and I thought they were all pretty well done. One character that I do feel like I kind of want to get a little bit more on, peel back the layers on a little bit more, is Dokes. I know he had the situation earlier in the season with Guerrero, I believe, and when he was going through those problems. But since then, I feel like we haven't gotten too many, like, you know, kind of Dokes-centered storylines where we got to kind of get into his head and, you know, see him deal with a conflict and see how it tests his character and whatnot. Like last episode, that wasn't really a Dokes conflict. That was an Angel conflict. It was just Dokes was kind of the driving force of it. So I want to learn a little bit more about Dokes. I still feel like we don't know that much about him, and I want to know kind of why he's kind of the way that he is. It's probably just his personality, but he can just be so overly aggressive sometimes. And I feel like there's something to come with Dokes and Dexter, because Dokes is always seems to be suspicious of Dexter, whether it's serious or not. Like, if there's anybody that I can imagine catching Dexter or catching on to Dexter, Dokes is definitely one of them. I was a big fan of the production value of this episode. Like, I thought that it was really well directed. I know I mentioned throughout my reaction, I like the choices that they did with the cinematography here, and also the editing, especially like with those, you know, flashback repressed memory scenes, or like with Dexter walking into the room of blood and everything. The score was really nice. Like, there were so many scenes here where they used all of these different techniques to build up tension and either pay it off, leave us hanging, or kind of kill it. Like, you know, like misdirect us. Like when Angel walked into Rudy's room, and it just felt like something crazy was about to go down. You're like, does Angel suspect him? Does he think Angel suspects him? But then when Angel says, I don't know anything, it's like the tension just dissipates. It was so cool. You're like, okay. It's like you could feel the relief from Rudy's point of view. But then Rudy came to attack Angel later anyway. So yeah, I thought that all of that came together really well and complemented the writing and the acting, and really just made the episode come together like a really crazy ride. Like, I mean, it just felt like there was so many moments in this episode where my jaw was on the floor. I wonder what the significance of 103 is going to be, and if it's something that we could already know, or if we haven't been given enough information. I mean, I'm wondering if it could relate to Dexter's door being 10B, I believe it was, but maybe that was just a coincidence. I'm not sure. So, looking forward to finding out more about that. So that'll do it for this episode. Go ahead and leave a comment below about what you thought about all this. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. And that's all I got for now, man. Let me go decompress because this show is getting crazy. Bye.